listening to the Marriage Clinic podcast, a podcast on love, marriage, and personal development. Our purpose is to inspire and equip you with knowledge and skills to enable you to have lasting and fulfilling relationships. Now your host, Joshua Mulgrew.
Good evening. This is the Marriage Clinic podcast, a podcast about love, marriage, and your personal development. And it is me, your host, Dr. Joshua Mulgrew, aka Uncle Josh. As I love to say, I like it when you call me uncle because I consider myself as your African uncle that is bringing you good relationship advice that is going to help you on your journey. Our concern or our prayer this year is that you find love the right way, you live through the right relationships, and you improve as a person, because this podcast is always about love and your personal development. Today we have a very, very interesting topic that we are starting. It's probably going to last 2 weeks, and it's an interesting one: relationship readiness. I hear a lot of people tell me, Uncle Josh, how do I know when I'm ready for a relationship? Uncle Josh, I want to be in a relationship. I think it's time. But the question is, how do you know when it is time to be in a relationship? And when we talk about time to be in a relationship, there are two ways of looking at it. For those who have never been in a relationship, there's the first opportunity to be in a relationship. For those who probably were in a relationship and broke up, then you may be asking yourself, even after the breakup, when should I get into a relationship? So today, and probably next week, as well as next week, I'm going to give you some guidelines, some milestones that you should look out for, or things that you need to do. And when you have done them, you know you are ready for a relationship. So let's go. Number one, the first thing you need to do is you need to find fulfillment in being single. You need to find fulfillment in being single. What do I mean? There's a very great, important and nice book by Dr. Charles Agyinasare, which is entitled Single and Not Ashamed. Single and Not Ashamed. I like that title so much because you need to understand, first of all, that one is a whole number. Being single does not mean you are deficient in any way in your life. And you are only ready for a relationship when you are comfortable being single. Now, it may seem funny, or it may seem like, how can you be telling me that I'm ready for a relationship when I am comfortable being single? If I'm comfortable being single, then I shouldn't want to be in a relationship. True, but let me explain it a little bit better. Until you are comfortable being alone, until you are okay with where your life is, until you figure out that a relationship is an add-on onto a life you are enjoying already, you are not ready for a relationship. If you are looking for a relationship for someone to comfort you, someone to make you whole, someone to give you peace of mind, then you are not ready for a relationship. A relationship works well when two people who are whole, two people who are healed, two people who have dealt with their issues come together and become good companions. But up until then, if you are just waiting to enter into a relationship, I don't think you are ready for a relationship. So the first thing you need to recognize is you need to find fulfillment in being single. This goes beyond mere loneliness. We don't enter into a relationship because we feel we are lonely. We don't enter into a relationship because everybody around us is in a relationship. We don't go into relationships because people are asking us, where's your boyfriend, or where's your girlfriend, or when are you getting married? We go into relationships when we are comfortable being single. We've dealt with all the demons. I'm not using demons in the Christian term. I'm using demons in the thoughts and things that come into your mind. And now you know that I'm okay being single, but a relationship will be an add-on. So the first thing is you must find fulfillment in being single. The second thing that's going to let you know you're ready for a relationship is when you have addressed your character flaws. When you have addressed your character flaws. You see, what makes people want to leave you, or what makes people want to break up with you, often is the character you show while you are in the relationship. So if you've been in 3, 4, if you have 3, 4 exes, some of you have 3, 4 exes, some of you have 5, 6, some of you have double digit exes. But you would realize that whenever a breakup is coming up, they will tell you certain things you are doing they don't like. They may say you always get angry. They may say you are overly jealous. They may say you are a party animal. You always want to party. Now, if you've had the privilege of a number of breakups and you see that there are certain things each person mentions, then you realize that this is a character flaw I have to work on. On the other hand, even if you've never been in a relationship or you've never been in a breakup, in engaging with friends and family and looking at yourself, you may realize that there are certain characters you need to work out of yourself and certain characters you need to build in yourself. You can't enjoy a relationship. Ladies, listen to me. You can't enjoy a relationship, because this happens more to ladies, if you don't believe you are beautiful and you are worth loving. It's a character flaw. If you have a character flaw of a poor self-image, you will not enjoy a relationship or get the best out of a relationship. So what you need to do is you need to make a list of your character flaws. Objectively write down, what are the problems in my character that need to be worked out? And as you work through those issues, you gradually come to the point where you realize, I'm a better person. So if you realize you are overly jealous, deal with your issues of jealousy first before you enter into a relationship. Because if you don't deal with your character of jealousy and you start dating a lady, when you drop her off, you drive off and then you drive back and come and pack, and you are waiting in the darkness for some hours to see if someone else will come and visit her. If you hang up the phone, you wait for a few minutes and then you call back to see if she's receiving another call, and then your next thing is, who are you talking to? What is going on? How? Deal with whatever character issue you have. If you ignore the character issue and you jump into a relationship, the character you didn't improve is what will push you out of the relationship. There's a saying in Tree, for those of you who are Ghanaians, you know Tree. If you're not Ghanaian and you're watching this, it's a dialect in Ghana, where they say, meaning your beauty is what takes you. They say it to women when they are getting married. Your good looks is what's taking you into the marriage, but it is your character that will bring you back home. In common parlance, they will marry you for your good looks, but if you have a bad character, they will divorce you. In the same way, in relationships, if you are just so keen on being good looking and you don't work on your character flaws, you will soon be out of the relationship. A character flaw could be that you like begging for money. And it's true, especially with a lot of ladies. You start dating a lady and tomorrow she feels you are now her bank, you are her ATM, you are her father, you are in charge of rent, you are in charge of her feeding and everything. In fact, from gas to feeding to hair, you've become all in all. And let's face it, your character flaw is that you are a beggar. So if you really did write it down and look at it properly, you will realize that this is my character flaw and I need to work at it. So the second thing is you address your character flaws. This is the Marriage Clinic podcast, a podcast about love, marriage, and your personal development. All right. Now, the third thing you need to address before you are ready for a relationship is what is now popularly known as emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence. Now, here's the question. How do you behave when you are confronted by emotions you do not like? How do you respond when you are angry, when you are sad, when you are confused, when you are insulted, and the list goes on? Your ability to manage your emotions, your ability to manage your reactions to the various things that will happen to you, show the level of maturity you have to be in a relationship. If you are unable to manage your emotions, all that is going to happen is that you are going to keep terrorizing the person that you start dating. Okay? Let me give you an example. Let's stay on the jealousy thing. If you haven't managed your emotions to ask yourself, if I see another lady that is beautiful, engaging my boyfriend, how do I react? Okay? If you haven't worked through those emotions and had some emotional maturity there, your reaction may be you don't talk to your boyfriend for a number of days. Your reaction may be you go and attack the girl. Your reaction may be is that you go on Instagram, you go on Facebook, look for her pictures, find out her friends. I've even had to deal with a situation where the lady looked for the girl's number, went and got a new SIM card, and will call the lady at 12 o'clock in the night, shouting at her and insulting her. This is an emotionally immature person, someone who has no emotional intelligence. So before you get into a relationship, work through your emotional intelligence. Ask yourself, how do I learn to deal with emotions I don't like? How can I be angry but not burst out? How can I feel insecure but not say the wrong things? That is very important as you work your way towards being ready for a relationship. Because remember, the goal is to get into a relationship and stay in the relationship. Going into a relationship and, as we like to say, chopping breakfast every now and then is not the best thing. Going into a relationship and breaking up in 3 months or in 6 months and then going through all of that pain and going into another one, get ready for the relationship. Develop your your emotional intelligence. It is extremely important that you develop your emotional intelligence. Even though time is going, let me see if I can give you one last one, and then we probably will end for the week. The fourth thing that you need to do in order to be sure that you are ready for a relationship is to resolve your emotional baggage. Uncle Josh, why are you talking about emotions? The reason I'm talking about emotions is that most of the time, how you manage your emotions determines how the relationship will go. Now, when I talk about resolving your emotional baggage, what you must understand is that what you have been through in life has affected you one way or another. Or imagine with me bags. Okay? Every painful and uncomfortable experience you go through is a bag that you are carrying. So let's give an example. Let's say this young lady was teased when she was in JHS, which is like junior high. She was teased a lot. She has the emotional baggage of I'm not good enough. That's a bag she's carrying. Let's say when she gets into secondary school, maybe she's touched inappropriately by a guy who was her friend during prep. Now that's another bag she's carrying. Let's say her parents got divorced at a point and her mom keeps talking about how men cannot be trusted. That's another bag that she's carrying. Let's say because of her parents' separation, she now has a lot of financial issues and she's developed the attitude of always wanting to beg and always wanting to take money from people. That is another bag that she's carrying. As she enters the relationship, she's coming with 4 emotional bags. Now, what you need to do for yourself is ask yourself, how did the things I went through growing up affect me? All right? And how do I position myself? Case in point, I once was dealing with a young man who, while he was scrawny, little, he wasn't the best looking person, and he always got rejected by girls. But he realized that the moment he had a certain qualification and a certain job, all of a sudden money was speaking. So what began to happen? We now began to realize with him that all the money he had, he was trying to sleep with as many ladies as possible just to make a point that now I have money, I can do anything. That is emotional baggage. This is the Marriage Clinic podcast, a podcast about love, marriage, and your personal development. My name is Dr. Joshua Mogri, and we will be back soon with Ask Uncle Josh. We really enjoy it when you send us questions, and this is Ask Uncle Josh. So please keep sending the questions in. We have a very interesting question here today, which is saying, I'm facing pressure from my family to get married, but I haven't found the right person yet. How do I deal with the societal pressure and the feeling that I'm running out of time. Now, this person did not state if they are a man or a woman, so it's going to be interesting to explain. But whether you're a man or a woman, in most African countries, when you reach a certain age, they begin to tell you you should get married by now. Especially for women. I think there's more pressure on women than on men, because for a woman, normally by the 26, 27, the pressure begins to build. By the time they hit 30, it's full blown. If they cross 35, it's a complete emergency for the family. So I can understand that. For men, they normally will give you a bit of leeway, but by the time you're turning 30, they begin to ask you interesting questions. Now, you are saying that I haven't found the right person yet. My question is, the right person you are looking for, do they exist, or God has to give you clay to make your own? That's very important. Sometimes our expectations are too high of what we are looking for in a partner, and it may not be realistic. So you first need to ask yourself if your expectations are realistic. The second thing too is, especially if you're a lady and you live in our culture, if someone hasn't proposed to you, or the right person hasn't proposed to you, how do you say yes? I've dealt with so many ladies who say the right person hasn't come, or no one is coming, or the people who are coming are mostly married men. Or I was talking to one young lady at the airport the last time. I was like, hey, what's happening in the relationship department? And she said, all the people who are coming are game boys, as in aka fraudsters and so on. So what I would say first of all is to realize that marriage is not a race. It's better to get married at 40 and have a blissful marriage than to get married at 25 and become someone's punching bag. So manage your expectation. Then also talk to your family. I would advise that you have a conversation with your family and you tell them that, hey, you know what, I really want to get married. And when you people say these things, it really hurts me a lot. I'm doing my best. I'm trying. And sometimes share some of the struggles with them. If you are a man and maybe for financial reasons or one or two reasons you still haven't settled down. I was talking to a young man. I was like, hey, how come you're not dating yet? And he said, I'm paying for school right now and I don't think I have the resources to manage a relationship. So I said, okay, I'll be back in 2 years with this question. So these are some of the things that you can do to allow your family to understand you. But most of all, make sure that your expectations are not outrageous. Thank you. See you next week for the next Marriage Clinic podcast.